Hello everyone! Warlords of Draenor has been released, and even though the launch was shaky, I hope you're all enjoying the game. Blizzard has been kind enough to send out an official message to the players, and they will also give a couple of days playtime back, so all in all, I hope things are going to become a bit more stable, and we'll have a lot of fun with Warlords. At the same time, we're also looking at the 10-year anniversary with all the fun events, and the latest reports has World of Warcraft at 10 million subscribers, which is mind-blowing and excellent news. I've personally had a great launch and I'm really enjoying Warlords so far, and I can't wait to do a new Q&A, so let's begin, starting with... Hey Noble! So I've been thinking, why is the Iron Horde even a threat to our Azeroth? Even with Garrosh going back and sharing secrets, technology with the Orcs race of Draenor, there is still one race going up against all the combined races of our current Azeroth. Human, dwarves, elves, orcs, trolls, tauren, undead, gnomes, worgen, draenei, goblins and Pandoran, not to mention the dragons if they decide to help. So what does the Iron Horde have that makes it able to cause such a big threat to our Azeroth? I saw this question on the story forum, and I think it's an interesting and fair question. What exactly do we have to fear from this Iron Horde? It's true that the first Horde was one of the biggest threats to Azeroth. They would have won the war was it not for Gul'dan's betrayal and Doomhammer's honor. Now this Iron Horde, it tries to do the same. They take out Netherguard Keep, they nearly take control of the Blasted Lands, but they quickly get their asses kicked and we retake control of the portal. That was the main threat, right? A new Horde coming in trying to conquer the planet. We stop their plans and the initial threat is over. A couple of you already suggested, like, why not destroy the portal and let the Iron Horde be, but that's not really possible. They tried to destroy the portal several times in the story, and each time someone found a way to reopen it, so going in and dealing with the Iron Horde threat makes sense. We need to make sure that the Iron Horde is dismantled, the Draenei need to make sure that the history doesn't repeat itself, and then finally, we need to take care of Gul'dan, the Shadow Council, and make sure that one of the biggest assholes in Orcish history gets taken out. That's what we're going to Draenor for, and the story that they're trying to tell is the one already told in Beyond the Dark Portal. We're stuck on an alien planet, no way to get home, we need to form alliances, and we need to take care of business. Unfortunately, game mechanics prevent that story from really being told. We still have our Hearthstones, we still have portals all over the place, reinforcements keep popping up, so that feeling, that immersion is not really there. The threat itself seems minimal, we're kicking some serious ass all over the planet, and I hope that Blizzard will take the story and give us something to be worried about. Let us lose a fight, let us lose a raid at some point, let us be the ones who get their asses kicked. Let us lose our garrisons for a patch, I don't know. Let us feel the full might of the Ogre Empire. Let us deal with something that makes us feel like, oh snap, this is really something that could be a threat to us. This is really something that we have to rise up against and we have to save the planet. That's just my hope though. I have no idea where they might take the story, and so far, the Iron Horde doesn't seem like much of a threat. I hope they're gonna improve this, I hope the story will develop, but time will tell where it's gonna go. Hello there, Sir Noble. Love your videos. Keep them up. My question for your Q&A is about Forsaken Paladins. My favorite class is the Paladin, yet my favorite race is the Forsaken. It bums me out that I can't be both. I know people say that there are lore reasons not to have them. What are your thoughts on this? Thanks, from Chris. Chris, technically speaking, any race that can wield the light and can also wield a weapon could potentially become a paladin with the right teachings, the right training, all that good stuff. It's not impossible. Part of the reason as to why we don't see that many paladins, and for that matter that many shamans, is that Blizzard wants to keep the class a little bit unique. Your question about Forsaken becoming paladins, technically I don't see a reason why not, but I personally wouldn't be happy about it. Undead touched by the light, they hurt themselves. Forsaken priests or death knights being healed by the light in a dungeon, they go through excruciating pain while being kept alive. Sir Zeliek, one of the four horsemen of Naxxramas, he's a great example of an undead wielding the light, something that you're looking for, an undead paladin. In life, he was a paladin, and his faith was so strong that even in undeath, the power of the light still heeds his call. So it's not impossible, but the light itself and paladins were always described as this massive counterpart, this weapon against the undead. Just look at the Ashbringer storyline and the damage that it was able to deal, but Blizzard at some point decided that Forsaken should get priest with the ability to wield the light, no matter how much it actually hurts them. There's not much that can be done about it, and who knows what the future might bring, but to your question, I personally wouldn't like to see a Forsaken Paladin, but it's not impossible. Hi Noble, love your videos. My question is, what's the story behind the Path of the Titans, and who is Jotun that walks it, and what's his story? Much appreciated, smiley face from Matt. Matt said to say there isn't much of a WoW lore story to be found behind the Path of the Titans or behind Jotun. Wowpedia says that the Path of the Titans is an ancient north-south road built by the Titans. It runs from Ulduar in the Storm Peaks to the north, over the Terrace of the Makers, through Stormcrest, down through the Dragonblight to where it meets Wormrest Temple, then continues going south into the Frozen Sea. Portions of the path can be found on the western side of the strands of the ancient battlegrounds and appears to continue on past it, heading further south. It then speculates that it may be a reference to the Trial of the Ancients, which is a real life thing. It traverses the states of Colorado and Utah in the US, and it's associated with the lore of southwestern Native Americans. That's sadly all I can say about the path. Now, Jotun, he looks like a Titan Keeper, but he doesn't seem to be mentioned anywhere else. He doesn't seem to fit in the whole storyline of Ulduar, in the whole Tyr and Thorim and all that. He doesn't seem to fit in that picture. There is, however, a real life story behind it. And I don't know if this is true, if the NPC is linked to this story, but this is what a Wowhead commenter suggests. Back in the day, and I'm talking way back when, during Classic and the Burning Crusade, we had community managers working on the forums, and they were trying to help people and keep things in line. As you may know, Blizzard never expected such a massive success with World of Warcraft, and they, as well as the servers, were simply overwhelmed. This flowed over into the forums, and the community managers, they did their absolute best, but they were simply overwhelmed by the massive amounts of threads and posts. One community manager by the name of Tsirik, one day he just cracked and he started to reply to the trolls, and it got pretty damn messy. I'll link the article of Joystick in the description, but the reason why this community manager is linked to the Titan is that Tsirik's avatar was a picture of a Titan, and the whole curse bearer also links to this story. It's pretty sad, but also pretty interesting read, so if you have the time, link is in the description. Who are the Ogri'la and what do they do? Thank you, my good sir. The name Ogri'la is linked to Shangri-La and Shambhala. Basically, it's the promised land for the ogres, heaven, the pot of gold at the end of a long and painful journey. What they do is trying to discover the secrets behind the Apexis crystals, while also making sure that their little corner of Outland is secured. The initial questline to get your reputation with Ogri'la going has you liberate the ogres of Blade's Edge from their enslavement to the Kron. This is mainly from Gruul the Dragonslayer's sons, and with them taken out, the ogres, they did gain their freedom, but they also became more vulnerable to the threats of the Legion. We helped them out with that, with like the bombing runs and killing demons and whatnot, while we're also collecting crystals, earning reputation and gaining rewards. Now those that have played the expansion and have played through the Spies of Arak, or perhaps you're even doing the dailies at level 100, you might have noticed that we're once again collecting Apexis crystals. The Apexis, they were an ancient and now extinct Arakoan civilization, and all that's left are their relics, their guardians and their crystals. In Ashran, the Order of the Awakened, they exchange gear for crystals, and they say that they do this in order to seek knowledge of the Apexis and seeks a peaceful, new era for the Arakoa. The Order exists of both corrupted and uncorrupted Arakoa, and time will tell if their intentions are really that good, or if they have other plans in mind for the powerful crystals. A lot of you have requested if I could do a story on the Arakoa, especially with the Ion Spies of Arak and their history and whatnot. Don't worry, it's definitely on the list. I can't give you a time as always, but I'm definitely planning on making a video on it. With that little update, it brings us to the final question, which is, what is the best thing about being a YouTuber and the worst thing? Also, how do you feel about Khadgar being able to teleport to Stormwind? The best thing about being a YouTuber, well, there are a lot of great things about working with YouTube. I've met some of the nicest people to work with. I've been able to interact with you guys and girls. We've been able to geek out about the lore, build up a little community based around that. That's all been fantastic. The channel has grown in ways that I'd never imagined, and being able to work at your own pace, do what you love and make your own schedule, that's all a great thing. At the same time, that last bit is probably also what falls under the worst thing for me. I've been struggling with hateful comments for quite a bit, but the other day I realized how blessed I actually am about doing what I love. I had someone comment that I should get a life and I should stop wasting mine with telling lore stories, but that comment just made me laugh. I'm able to do what I feel passionate about. I love what I do here with the channel, so the hate, it doesn't bother me that much anymore. The worst part, like I mentioned, is probably the freedom that comes with it. It's great that you can make your own schedule and you can work from home, but at the same time, there's nobody standing behind you to push you on. That all has to come from you. You have to have some major discipline and some major motivation, and thankfully that part comes easy to me, but my major part that I'm still struggling with is finding a balance between work and my real life. It's not like I can close the door behind me and be done with the job and let other people take care of it. It's never ending. It's my own company, and I love it, don't get me wrong, but I'm still working on finding that balance between work and the personal life. For those interested in what exactly I do, how it all works, how these videos are made, I'm planning on making a little video about that for around Christmas time to show you guys behind the scenes look. I was watching the BlizzCon panels, and at some point they showed us how they make these animations, right? And it was so interesting to me to see how something that I only saw from a consumer standpoint, like how did they actually make it? So I thought it'd be a good idea to make a video about that and show you guys like my office and what I do and whatnot. But that's probably gonna be around Christmas time. Now, for your second question about Khadgar, I've received several questions about him, like why does he wield a Tish? Why does he look so young? Why is he so powerful? Unfortunately, there isn't a real answer or explanation given. The weapon that he wields, a Tish, is a legendary staff that used to be in the game and players were actually able to obtain it, but lore-wise it always belonged to the Guardians. It was passed on from Guardian to Guardian, from Adrian and Medivh to Medan, and once it reached Medan, that's where the story ends. Now all of a sudden, we see Khadgar with the staff in his hand, so the question is, did they retcon Medan? Did they simply try to ignore its existence? Or is there more to it? I asked on Twitter if someone at BlizzCon could use their question during the Q&A to ask about this, and surprisingly enough, someone actually did. The question was there, but the Q&A panel, it didn't really know much about the lore, so sadly, they didn't really give an answer to it. Now, Khadgar also looks a lot younger than he used to, and I personally think that has more to do with his new model, and perhaps even a shave, than anything else, to be honest. His powers do seem massive, but that's not surprising for someone who's been trained by Medivh himself. I would personally love it if Blizzard took the time to make like a short story or perhaps a comic with the adventures of Chromie and Khadgar, in which it explained how and why Khadgar now wields a Tish, how he looks so much younger, and why he seems so powerful. I think those two would make great characters together, and the story to go with it would be really nice. But that's up to Blizzard though. I can't predict where and what they're going to do with the story. I do remember the other day when I was streaming the beta that the suggestion came up, like in the novel The Last Guardian, Khadgar received a vision how he died on a red corrupted planet. Later on in the storyline, he would indeed travel beyond the dark portal into this red and corrupted land, and his vision showed him that he would die. Now so far all those visions in Karazhan, they came true. So the question is, will Khadgar die at some point? And I wonder if Blizzard is smart enough to actually remember that little bit of text. If they can create a storyline or a situation in which that little story from many years ago, from The Last Guardian, comes back to bite Khadgar in the ass, I would love to see that. But I don't have high hopes to see it, but I would be mind blown if they actually put that into the story. Now with that little ramble, I'm done for today. I hope you all liked the Q&A. As always, if you have any questions that you'd like to see answered in the Q&A, you can always leave a comment down below, or you can send me a question over at ask.fm. I've also placed a list of questions that I've already done in the past, so be sure to check that list out. A link to the DeviantArt page is in the description. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and until next time, guys, see ya!
Our bond is iron, our will unbreakable. Who will stand against us?